Hi, it's your girl Carly Jamaican here with yet another video for you. And today, um, I'm a bit late. All of this went down in June. It's now July. But I wanted to talk about Sha'Carri Richardson, and her disqualification from the Olympic Games. Um, I really wanted to talk about that because, one thing that I do talk about on here is bad paper discharge for veterans. And one of the things that lead to this bad paper discharge, of course, is marijuana usage. So I wanted to kind of link or make a connection between the two today. But before I even talk about smoking marijuana in the military, I wanted to just spit some facts about Sha'Carri Richardson and the ongoing controversy about the comparison between her and Michael Phelps. Most people probably understand the clarification or the distinction between the two now, but apparently there was some type of uproar about Sha'Carri Richardson being unfairly disqualified when Michael Phelps was not disqualified, I believe, from competitions when he indulged in marijuana usage. Well, I went ahead and did my research because, I tried to be balanced and fair, and I'm just not going to be jumping on the bandwagon just to be a contrarianist or just to be protesting against something. And from what I found out, Sha'Carri Richardson was not unfairly disqualified. And her case is completely different from what happened to Michael Phelps. So, just a breakdown of it, unfortunately, and my condolences to Sha'Carri Richardson, her mom died during the trials. And of course, that's traumatic. That is very sad. That's a lot to deal with. That's a lot of emotional heaviness to deal with when you are expected to show up and perform in front of the world. That's a lot to deal with. And she ended up, unfortunately, self-medicating and using marijuana, which it's not surprising. Something like that is not surprising at all. Like I said, a lot of people in the military, they do suffer from PTSD and they self-medicate with marijuana as well. So oftentimes this is like the go-to, this is oftentimes the go-to um, method to help cope or deal with trauma and tragedy in your life. Um, So that's what happened to Sha'Carri Richardson. She ended up, unfortunately, smoking because she was trying to deal with her loss. And she did the test and tested positive for the THC and was disqualified. No, she was disqualified because there is a policy, right? This policy is set forth by the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, and they follow, I think, Olympics anti-doping agency policies. And for this particular year, which that part I'm not 100% on, it looks like they changed the policies depending on whatever, depending on what they've discussed or the board has decided on each year, each 4 years. It can differ based on what I'm noticing, because when Michael Phelps actually smoked, there was no, at the time, there was no out of competition sanctions against smoking marijuana. There were no out of competition sanctions. And for Sha'Carri Richardson, there were in competition sanctions, and substance abuse during in competition periods is not allowed. It's not allowed, and that's what happened to. That's kind of the big distinction between the two athletes. Sha'Carri Richardson, she smoked marijuana during the in competition period. And Michael Phelps, he smoked it outside of that period. He actually smoked it months after he performed at the Olympics. So his situation is different. So I know we want, you know, to root for her. And let me tell you, I am absolutely a fan of Sha'Carri Richardson. I am. I saw her run and, she's small and, it's like, oh my gosh, you go girl. And, I guess I'm Jamaican. So of course I'm biased. I want my Jamaican athletes to take home the gold. But even so, just watching her run, watching her perform, I was so impressed. I really was worried that the US might take home the gold medal. I really was worried just watching her. And I was rooting for her too. So when I found out that she was disqualified, I was so shocked and I was so disappointed. I felt it to my soul, and then to find out that her mom died, I felt it even more for her. And I just find that a lot of young people, when they're taking on the world, and I mean, athletically, career-wise, whatever, the military, when they're taking on the world and something scary happens, a tragedy happens, when you're young, it's so much harder to cope with these events in your life. And, I find that unfortunately, they sometimes mess up their lives at that junction. Um, they mess up their lives by smoking weed, right? They end up with missed opportunities. They end up losing, um, losing out on opportunities or career opportunities. They end up being kicked out of the military, things like that. And, I just find it so sad that this happens. Now, thankfully, Sha'Carri Richardson, she did not break any, state laws, because when she smoked it, of course, it was actually legal in her state. So she did not break any state law. So legally, she's fine. And the good news is she actually might be able to compete in other upcoming Olympic events. So it's not, total doom and gloom for her. It's not total that, but it's still disappointing that she could not perform in this year's events. So I'm sorry, USA. It doesn't really look like you guys are taking home the gold medal this year. But I'm not even gloating about that, because yikes, I didn't want what happened to Sha'Carri. I didn't want that for her, So even with Michael Phelps, he actually was not able to perform in that mid 2009 Olympics, in the mid 2009 Olympic events, and the USA swimming organization, they actually withdrew fundings and endorsements from him. So he actually suffered consequences too, to be fair. And I'd love to jump on the bandwagon and say, oh, it's a racial thing, or oh, it's an unfair thing, or oh, whatever reasons it could be unfair, because there's a lot going on now, especially with that other athlete, I forgot her name, not trying to get attention for the national anthem. So of course, there's a lot of tension at this point when it comes to, I guess, Black athletes. But in this case, in Sha'Carri's case, it is not an unfair situation. It's actually very fair. Ask yourself, would they do the same thing to another athlete? Yes, they would. So I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh my gosh, they treated her unfairly. And the thing is, she actually took responsibility. She took accountability for her actions, and she said, she knew what she was doing. She knew what she did. She knew she wasn't supposed to do it. So she's not, trying to garner favoritism. She's not trying to do that, you know, and she has integrity, and I'm happy that she's treating the situation with integrity. And you have to expect the Olympics to, which is a private organization, it's not government, it's not anything like that, to uphold their own rules. You have to expect that, you know, sporting events have to, they have to uphold integrity as well. You cannot perform with substance, you know, illegal substances in your system. You can't do that. And the thing is, many people probably are. I'm not really sure what triggered the testing, but I'm thinking it has to be something standard where all of athletes has to submit the test. Okay, I'm thinking it's something standard. I don't think she was singled out or whatever they were, you know, whatever the argument was that went viral. I don't think she was singled out or anything like that. So at this point, the only thing we can really say is, I am so sorry, Sha'Carri. I really wish you were actually performing, and you know, thank God you more than likely get to compete again in other Olympic events. We'll see you next time. You know. That being said, I wanted to touch on just marijuana use in general. As a libertarian, I am for people being able to use marijuana at, you know, recreationally or medicinally if they choose. And I live in the state of Georgia where marijuana usage is illegal. You know, you can easily gain a criminal record by being in possession of marijuana, smoking it, distributing it, whatever. You can easily gain a criminal record. And I've always found that to be so unfair because it's usually minority communities that are disproportionately impacted by that. It's usually, and let's be real, right? It's usually that, I believe. But then again, you know, you might find that in other communities, the drug of choice is something else. So you might find that community being disproportionately impacted. But my point is, you know, I feel as if, and I know there are stats to back it up, but I did not research it right now. Yes, especially communities with minorities, those are the communities severely impacted by the criminalization of marijuana. As a libertarian, I can't wait for the day when we realize that it is okay, just like alcohol, for people to use these substances freely. I'm not talking, I'm not encouraging it. I'm just saying people should have that choice. They should, okay? That's all I'm saying. Without the fear of gaining a criminal record, you know. If we can drink alcohol, we can smoke some weed, you know. No, I don't smoke weed. I'm clean. I don't want to. And this is where you have to decide or make a personal choice of whether you want to do something like that and impact other opportunities in your life, you know, because it is okay. Even if we get to the point where states actually decriminalize marijuana usage, even if we get to that point, companies, organizations, private organizations, they will still have that right to say, no, we do not want you smoking marijuana and fulfilling job duties, fulfilling your functions. We don't want that. So that is kind of where the clash comes in, and where you can decide, okay, is it even worth it to smoke it? Is it even worth it? But it should be legal. It should be legal. And it should be okay for, just like in California, for people to be able to make an income, you know, by selling it, and for people to be able to use it recreationally. And I think we're able to use it medicinally in Georgia, I think, which is, to me, that should be fine too, right? So my stance on marijuana usage is I'm very liberal where that is concerned. Very liberal. And then I'm Jamaican too, so that doesn't really mean anything. Many Jamaicans don't agree with marijuana usage, so I'm not, please don't stereotype, but and I did kind of try to stereotype myself. Please just disregard that. But yeah, I am very liberal when it comes to marijuana usage. I think I think it's unfair that we can actually drink alcohol, which to me, if you're drinking and driving, that's a lot more dangerous than smoking marijuana and driving. Um, but and marijuana has so many other uses. Alcohol is just dangerous, period. It's better to just be drinking in your home and alone, than being around people and driving and stuff like that. Because when you get really drunk, it can lead to so much chaos, so much destruction. You can black out, you can end up with alcohol poisoning, you can crash a car, you can get into fights. Marijuana usually does not, marijuana usage usually does not have those effects. But that's kind of what I really wanted to come on here and say. Shout out to that one person that's always here when I start my live. I am still trying to make this like a regular thing, so hopefully I can get more people to watch and actually participate in the chat. I really would love for that to happen, but because I'm so erratic when it comes to my lives and because I'm so unpredictable, I can't really seem to get all my people on here when I need them to. So maybe what I need to do is to kind of announce it like a day in advance, and then maybe I can get some folks to be here when I jump on the live. Anyway, so that's all I wanted to say. I am offering my support to Sha'Carri Richardson. I know this is like a very difficult time in her life. I especially love when she said, who am I to judge a person for the way that they cope with tragedy? She didn't say it verbatim like that, but essentially that's what she meant. And I agree with her. It's kind of difficult to know how you're going to really cope with a very dark, very emotional situation when you're going through it. And you're going to need that immediate gratification to make yourself feel better, especially if you have to stand in front of the world and perform, especially if you have to still deliver, especially if you still have to live your life. Therapy might take a while to heal and to help you. You need something immediate. So I completely understand why she went that route. I completely understand how she feels about it, and I get that. I get that we know the correct thing to do when and you have to deal in that moment. You're just trying to do the best that you can. You're just trying to do the best that you can. And that's what, of course, hindsight is 2020. We can look back and say she shouldn't have, whatever. No, in that moment, everyone deals the best that they can. So I don't judge her. I don't have any criticisms for her. I'm just really, really disappointed that she's not performing in the Olympics this year. So, girl, I'm giving you my support, and I can't wait to see what you will do in the upcoming events. And that's pretty much all I have to say. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'm still doing this for real. So don't stop following me. Thank you guys for the support. I will see you in the next live or the next video. Bye.